Hey guys, what's up? MadSeason here, back with another video for you. This is my first video in my viewer request series that you guys voted on a while back. User iFAKEYx asks how to determine if a farming spot is worth your time. This is a pretty broad question. There's no real way to answer it without narrowing it down first, so allow me to change it just a little bit so it's a little easier to answer. First off, I'll assume we're talking about gold here. There's an infinite amount of things that you can farm in this game, such as trade goods and whatnot. The only thing I would realistically be able to measure would be gold. Second is, I won't necessarily compare how lucrative spots are because at the end of the day, it's all subjective. A spot that yields 5,000 gold per hour may seem like a huge amount to some people and nothing to others. I'll just talk about the different styles of gold farming you can do in this game and give my personal take on the ones that I favor and the ones that I avoid as well. Now back to the question, how to determine if a farming spot is worth your time. I am very much of the opinion that the best farming spot is whatever fits your style. I think this is really important because no matter how lucrative a farming spot is, if you get burnt out in 5 minutes into farming it, you're not going to earn any gold anyways. Allow me to elaborate here. Like I said, there are many different styles of farming. You have the classic style of just finding a single spot and killing certain enemies over and over for some sort of item drop, whether it be a mount, trade goods, or whatever. This is what most people think of when they hear the words farming spot. However, this style can be split up into several categories. Maybe the item you're farming has a super rare 0.1% drop rate, but it sells for hundreds of thousands of gold on the auction house. Or maybe you're farming items at vendor for a really high price since you don't like messing with the auction house. Perhaps instead of killing mobs, you pickpocket them. Or maybe you avoid mobs altogether and you try a really dense ore or herbing route. The list goes on and on. There's no real superior way, so to speak. It's all just dependent on what you prefer. Instead of farming some random spot in the world, you may instead choose to farm certain raid dungeons that are on a weekly lockout. A good example of this are the 25-man heroic cataclysm raids. This follows the alt-centered approach of farming gold a little more because the more characters you have, the more lucrative it is. Another category in and of itself is transmog farming. The reason I separate this is because it's very dependent on the auction house and more specifically your server's economy. These spots are very hit and miss. You may get a bunch of items that have a high price on the auction house, but that doesn't really mean anything until you actually sell them, which could take months in some cases. My personal take on all of this, and you guys probably already know this if you've been following my channel for a while, but I generally tend to prefer the alt-centered farming spots like those old cataclysm raids. Generally, when something is restricted, and I'm talking about the weekly lockouts in this case, it's going to be more lucrative. And it's not just that, I just really love visiting these old raids every now and then and running through them. Not just for the gold, but for the achievements, seeing all the different boss fights, picking up some transmog gear, and so on. I don't want to put too much focus on gold. I want to emphasize this point because, once again, if I didn't enjoy running these old raids, I would just get burnt out right away and I would stop running them, therefore earning hardly any gold at all. And that's not to say I don't like other methods of farming. Every now and then I'll get in the mood to just grind out a spot just for the heck of it. I think it's fun to do every once in a while, but for me personally, it's not something I do consistently. The only spots I really tend to avoid are the ones that farm vanilla transmog and twink gear. Don't get me wrong, these spots can be good, and I don't want to sound like a hypocrite here because I want to make videos about these spots in the future. The reason I'm not too hot on these are, yeah, the items you can get sell for a lot in the auction house, but the key word here is they can. For example, take a look at my bean counter data here. This is just an add-on that keeps track of all of the items I put up on the auction house. As you can see here, I have some old transmog items that I've been trying to sell for nearly a year. It's important to keep in mind that just because you have a bunch of these expensive transmog items or twink items, that doesn't mean that they'll sell within a reasonable time period. Just be wary if you see a spot that farms these items. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. While these spots have a high potential to earn gold, they very rarely live up to that potential in my experience. So in summary, in my opinion, what makes a quote-unquote good farming spot is one that you're going to enjoy farming. Try to find something that matches your style and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. At the end of the day, we all play this game for fun anyways, so I think it's important to not lose sight of that as you work towards your gold cap. But I guess that's all I have to say. Thanks again, Fakey, for the question and the continued support, man. I hope you all found this video helpful. Give it a like if you liked it, and if you really liked it, let me know in the comments and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching, good luck, and peace!